Previously in my series of making fantasy armors or fantasy knights, I asked you all to give me suggestions for what could be a good third episode topic. Lots of people suggested I do something with the Infinity Stones, and I loved that idea, but I wasn't really sure if I had great ideas to do all 6 stones as 6 separate armors. Then I saw people like Matthew's Corner suggesting that I take famous artifacts or relics and turn those into armors, and obviously if I did that I could use the Infinity Gauntlet and incorporate in the Infinity Stones. But then also get to work with other franchises and use things like the Master Emerald from Sonic, or the Dragon Balls from Dragon Ball Z. I really love that idea, so that's what we're doing today. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's go. Hit like if you want, subscribe if you feel like, but either way, enjoy the show.
So, once again you return to hear more about the beautiful armors I have designed at my shop, yes? I cannot blame you. If I did not design these armors myself, I would constantly be asking whoever did make them to tell me all about them, as they are quite remarkable to behold. This may sound arrogant, as I did design them, but as I like to say, if you do not back yourself, how can you expect other people to? Now, let me start today by telling you about one of the most powerful armors I have designed, which, yes, is something I say a lot, but to be fair, I have designed many powerful armors, and this one was particularly strong, not simply because of the magical bolstering it gives to the wearer's physical body, but more so because of what it can summon. You see, since I was a little girl, I had heard stories about a set of 7 magical orbs that, when gathered, would allow the collector to summon to them one of the most powerful species of dragons on the planet to do their bidding. Perhaps you have heard of the creature. They often roam around the skies above Japan and Hawaii. They are the soaring Saiyagons, and with one at your side you could win near any battle. So, these orbs became a highly coveted prize. But, after using them once, they would promptly scatter themselves across the planet for someone else to collect and use. That is until certain men found them and brought them all to me. This man was big and muscular, but also very friendly and, well, admittedly did not seem clever enough to come up with the idea he presented me with. But all the same, I was able to enact it for him. He gave me the 7 orbs and asked me to design him an armor with all 7 orbs incorporated, so that upon using them to summon a soaring Saiyagon, the orbs could not scatter as they normally would. Then he could use them again anytime he wanted. It was a very clever idea, but I was not sure it was possible at first. But with the right spells and materials, I did make it work. You see, the piece of the puzzle that made the whole thing come together was crafting the armor from the hide of a soaring Saiyagon. A friend of mine who I've mentioned many times before, who frequently brings me rare materials to work with, had found a very rare hide of a soaring Saiyagon, and had me craft him a blade from it, then let me keep the remaining pieces. So I had more than enough to make this man his armor, with the 7 magical orbs added into it. The blend of the orbs and inherent magical properties of the dragon's hide gave the man incredible strength and even ability to fly while wearing the armor. That was unexpected, even to me, but I was quite pleased about it. Has it ever happened to you before? You work on something, put heart and soul into it, then at the end it turns out even better than you could possibly imagine? It's a very nice feeling, yes? As a thank you for doing such good work on his armor, the man, once wearing it, was even kind enough to test it in my village, summoning a soaring Saiyagon to him. Nobody in my town had ever seen a living one before. It was incredibly beautiful to behold. We had a party and everything. We barbecued and it was just lovely. Then the man rode away on it and seemed to keep all the orbs with him, so I must have done my job successfully. I have not heard from the man since, but have heard stories that he is doing very good work with his new power. Largely thanks, of course, to his Vasilya Kuznet original armor. Now, I have often been brought impressive and intriguing artifacts to build into armor, but it is not very common that I am quite literally brought the heart of a dragon. You see, once a woman came to me carrying the blood-pumping organ of an emerald-orbiting wyvern. This is very powerful species of dragons that is famous for its ability to shift the spikes on the end of its tail into the shape of any different weapon it wants. It also has ability to generate sort of magical green shield to coat around its skin to protect it from harm, and all this power is believed to stem from its heart in blood. The warrior who came to me with the heart of an emerald wyvern clearly believed this to be true, and asked for me to incorporate the magical elements of the heart into an armor for her. As always, of course, I was able to oblige her request, and had quite an enjoyable time doing so, though I did have one quite unusual problem. You see, while I was making the armor mostly green to emulate the dragon, I was also originally adding in a yellow lining for more color. It was quite nice looking, but then I realized the magic on the suit was fading. Was very confusing and took me a few days to realize that it was the very color, yellow, that I was adding that was blocking the magic. I took away the yellow and added silver lining instead, and the magic once more flourished. I was glad to realize the problem, but also warned the woman that the suit has very easy to exploit weakness. Someone splashes her with yellow paint or, I don't know, throws a bunch of lemons at her or something, and the magical enhancements of the suit will not work. Woman did not seem deterred by this, or surprised by it even, so I simply got back to work and made sure not to add any more yellow. Ignoring the obvious weakness, I was even able to incorporate the dragon's tail shifting ability into her weapons. I gave her 2 blades that, so long as she was wearing suit, she could shift into any weapon she so desired. Within limits, of course. I also told her it's possible the armor's magic could fade over time with too much use, and she may need to charge it by washing it in more blood from an emerald orbital wyvern at some point. Again, to me that would have been deal breaker and convinced me to find another base for an armor. But, once more, she was not put off by possible limitation. Some people, when they have their heart set on something, or a dragon's heart set on something, they won't be blocked by anything in their way, which I respect, but also in this case think is a bit silly. Still, she paid much gold, was pleased with the armor, and left me with only the question: does she lose power from the suit when she urinates? I mean, if you drink lots of water, it's not so yellow, but still. Sadly, this is a question I may never get the answer to. Now, it is not often that I will actively limit a suit's power. Normally I want to make armor as strong and mighty as possible, but in this next case I made an exception. You see, a man came to me once with 6 stones that I immediately grew concerned could bring total destruction upon my village. You may have once heard the tale of the Titan of Death. He is last dragon from long-dead species that guarded a set of 6 powerful gems as the pride of their kind. Eventually, almost all the dragons of this kind died off, except for the Titan of Death, who hibernated for many years before awakening to find that his species' gems had been stolen and scattered around the world, sold to various people. It has been hunting for them ever since, and I'd always assumed it had found at least some of them. But then stood before me man who carried all 6 in his bag. I specify in his bag because the gems combined were so powerful that he could not hold them himself. He wanted Gauntlet made that would allow him to use the power of the gems. I told him sadly it was not possible, that much power could not be contained in single silly little glove. But I could make him full suit of armor that may do the trick. He agreed, and I spent nearly a month crafting an incredibly resilient suit that could handle the power and let the user use the magic to do, frankly, almost anything they could think of. From making cute little bubbles appear, to turning people into weird slinky things, to wiping out whole populations with snap of finger. But I did not know this man. I did not know what kind of person he was. I did know from speaking to him that he was not fully aware of how powerful these gems were. So for the good of the world, I chose to limit the amount of power he could access from the gems while using the suit. Don't get me wrong, he still had plenty of power at his disposal. Even without being skilled magic user himself, he could do incredible damage with the magic inherent to the suit. Even likely kill the Titan of Death if he wanted to. Which I think may be what he wanted to do, but I'm not sure. Anyway, the suit was still powerful, but I was not willing to see someone have all the powers those stones could grant. Hence, the limitations. If he finds out what I did, I may have some trouble on my hands, but would just give me good excuse to test in battle some of the armors that I've made for myself and for my brother Voslo. You ever seen an armor made from a monolithic shin god with swords carved from the hide of a death-proof razor tail? Now that is an armor you don't want to mess with. Last armor I tell you about for today is another forged largely from a gem, but this time a single very big gem. You see, this barbarian woman succeeded at something long thought to be an impossible task. She found a floating island in the sky, known to be home to many unique and territorial species of dragons, and she successfully invaded it for her prize. Now, I should say, I don't actually know if this island in the sky is related to the Skylands that my godly friend told me he discovered recently, where there are many interesting creatures from what he has said. Maybe they're connected, maybe not. Point is, I suppose flying islands is just a thing that exists. World is always stranger place than you think it could be, yes? Anyway, barbarian woman got to this island in the sky and managed to fight off the species of dragon that protects a massive emerald at island's center. These dragons are called brawling echidnosaurs and are supposedly extremely tough and have massive fists with jagged knuckles that they can use masterfully to slay any foe. And yet, somehow, this woman got through them all, stole the gem, which is nearly the size of her body by the way, and escaped the island with it. Apparently, the island soon after floated down from sky and is now in water. So maybe I should not have made armor for this woman from the emerald. Maybe should have returned it. But cannot change what I've done now, can only learn from it and move on. Anyway, she wanted the armor, of course, to incorporate the magic of the emerald, and to be inspired by the dragon she slayed to get it. So, instead of weapon, she wanted big brawling fists. Surprisingly, emerald did not give her ability to fly, even though that is what it did for the island. I broke gem into many shards to incorporate into the suit, and it did give her enhanced speed and strength and so on. More importantly though, according to her and to the legends she cited, the gem gave her the ability to nullify a different set of magical gems, and she sought to hunt down someone who was going around collecting those. Frankly, I don't remember all the details. As you can see from my many tales, I've been brought many magical artifacts, so I can't keep all the stories and details straight of who's hunting who and blah blah blah. What is important to me is that the armor turned out, beautifully, and the customer was very happy. Plus, I had some shards left over that she allowed me to keep. Maybe I incorporate them into a suit for you, yes? Or maybe you're still not ready to buy anything, and next time you come in I'll share more stories with you, and maybe then you will be convinced to buy.
I think my favorite fantasy armor I've done is still from the first episode where I did elements as armors, and I did the fire elemental armor. But I think in terms of full episode, this is the best one in the series so far. And I would love to get more suggestions for what you all think I should do with a 4th episode in this series. Although admittedly I am heavily considering doing Subnautica Leviathans if they were fantasy armors, because I think that could be a lot of fun. But as always, still open to suggestions. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen the previous episodes in this series, I've done elements as armors and fictional elements as armors. You know, things like kryptonite. But besides that, that's all for today, except of course we're ending this video on some kind of positive or uplifting note. And the thought I want to leave people with today is to never let something that hurt you define you. Stay kind, stay open to good things coming your way, and stay you. I hope that's helpful to someone out there. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Friday, which I'm pretty sure will be Undertale related, but I haven't decided exactly what it's gonna be yet. Anyway, goodbye.